Hello for the final in our series of making flexible graphs. Okay. This graph is going to include the list box. So I've done this too much, but so we can only decide that we want to choose a couple of these things. Okay. So we've done that. There's another video on selecting the items. There's a video on making X scale, flexible, and now this is a review of how to make a graph that selects specific different items. Okay. And to do this, we're going to I'm going to take our simple little graph we made here and try to add things to this graph. Okay. And, well, I'm going to do it a little differently. I'm just going to make a new graph. We're going to create a list box, put it on the graph. We're going to attach the macro. We're going to find a macro that we can attach this to. Okay. And then we're going to create a little separate section that just grabs the specific items that we want graphed. Okay, so let's go to the graph data. And the first thing we'll do is just notice this. You notice that we have some NAs here, and that that's after the list box. And this list box created a couple of names here. These are the only two names that were selected, so we have a little area that selects these. And this is called the list box something. It's called the list box output. Okay. And this list box output comes from changing that list box. And I'm going to start with a graph just like this to show you. So this is before we've done anything. Press F11, make the graph. Okay, it's not got everything in it, but it's for illustrative purposes. Okay, so the first thing to do is this, and I will call this list box example. Okay, and the first thing to do is to go to our developer, try to insert a list box, which is easier sometimes said in video than done in practice. And we go to our format control, go to the input range, and select the things you want, which are these 4 items. Okay. And this is, we want it to be a multi-section. That's the big thing. And the good news is it's there. The bad news, probably what's going to happen, I'm going to just change it because that goes away. But that's very realistic. I have no idea why it works like that. So, well, whatever. It's one of the things in life. Apparently whoever programmed this list box stuff in Excel, maybe some new person or something. Okay, I'm even afraid to extend it. Okay, so now we can at least take this and get 2 things in it. Okay. Now the next thing we do is, it's called list box 2, I suppose. Then we assign the macro to it. Make it new. It's just blank. And what I suggest is that you go and give me a big present on my website, which is a hit on my website. If you get if you want the privileged people, gets this one forward. Then I should have list box. I call this NA function. Index. I call it the index function. That's not the one I wanted. So I'm going to pause for a minute. Okay, it says multiple series graph with list box. If I could read, I would have got that first. So let's just open that one. And we'll right click on this macro and edit this and just kind of steal our earlier work. Okay. Now, the only thing, we can go back to our other macro. I guess we can't, but maybe I should have. Oh, shoot. This is all. Shoot. Oh my gosh. Okay. No. Screw it that way then. Let's just go back to our graph. This is the kind of stuff I stop doing on videos. Okay. So just waste your time. Okay. So we need to change just two things. The first thing we need to do is to make sure it says list box 2. And then we also want to make sure that the list out is correct. And you remember I think it was list output or something, I can't remember exactly what it is, so you can press list underscore box underscore output. Okay. So we go and change this to list underscore box underscore output. Okay. And oops, just computer. Now the only difference here is that this oops, and I want to clear it out first too. Excuse me. Oops. List underscore box underscore output. Now let me tell you, if I take some pills, if I can remember this stuff right. Not me, but they take pills because news channel advertisement says take a pill and you can remember things. Okay. Then bullshit. I swore. Sorry. Now what we're doing is we're just incrementing the row each time. So the difference between this is it'll have the list box will have a list of say 4 or 5 items, and then they'll be blanks. If it's not selected, it'll just go to the next row anyway and put them in, and that's really what we want to do. Okay, so what we do is let's try this first. Okay, so let's switch off the flare. Switch on the vents. Now the good news is we didn't get a debug. Okay. The second piece of good news, if you see here, this was the range name. I'm going to press Shift Control 7, and then I'm going to also, by the way, make I looked at my shortcut video. So horrible. I'm going to make it. So let's just put our gas volumes too. Okay. Now, so that now we have all 3. And then what I did over here was simply use a match function. And in this case, we get an NA because it tried to match that against those things with 0, which means you need an exact match. And we got nothing. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we put all of our data here, and we leave the NAs. And we just say, well, if this one up here, excuse me, so let's look at this. If this oil production is not equal a blank, then take the oil production, otherwise plop in NA. In this case, we compared that. It is a blank, so we put in NA. Otherwise, we just take the number. And then what we can do here is just go to select the data and just kind of format it almost in the same way. Let's make sure I have it all right. Yes, so I think, excuse me, this should have said oil production as well. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in. And I also put the history and the forecast on the bottom. It's got all the NAs and everything else in it. Okay, I don't know why. Just didn't do the oil production. Okay, that's enough. I'm getting lazy. Just press OK. Okay. And then, so let's put the flares in. Let's take the vent off. Let's take the gas off. Take the flare volumes off. This should have had oil production. Excuse me. The problem is my title. Okay, I did copy that correctly. Looks like it might have been an error in the initial one. Okay. This was our maximum, by the way. We just take the maximum of each one, and then when we make our history, we just take that maximum and put it if it's true. If it's not, if it's the forecast, we put it on the other one. Okay. So now it says oil production NA down here. We include gas production. We get the gas production. Flares, we get that. Okay, that's just kind of a review of how to use the list box and get the list box example. Okay, so now this file, it's a large file, but I understand these days you can put large files on the internet. So, Sarah. And I'm going to put that file in this dynamic graphs and also it's not there yet, but it will be. And it'll have a better name than I had here. It's kind of a horrible name. OB, OA, and OB. I have no idea. This will be oil production, oil and gas production with flexible graph. How's that? Okay. And that's